So, welcome everyone to our Wednesday community call, our Mentoring Stewards call, or whatever we really want to call this. I think it's kind of in an evolving space because this is really our time to gather as community to really link up and lift one another up and support one another in our work in the world. And I'm just going to start before we do a little resonance by just welcoming you. It's February 6th, is it? I see I'm disoriented. I'm not in my home. It is. Yes, good, February 6th. 2019, I'm in New York City, and so I've been in a different zone, so forgive me. And I have to tell you, I was at a meeting on Friday with Victoria and this incredible, beautiful event on Saturday, and work. And when we do check-ins, I might share a little more. But when I was at the meeting, I handed, somebody wanted a business card, and I handed a good of the whole business card. And she said, "It doesn't have your name on it." I'm like, "Oh, I handed you the wrong card." And I just wanted to read this because I love what this says about who we are and how we come together. So it's Global Co-Creatives. Together, we're weaving more light, healing, resonance, and joy into our social fabric. We are a calming presence, midwifing, or midwiffing, however you want to say that, midwifing the evolution of consciousness, grounding the force of love, and embodying the ethos of wholeness. So with that, welcome to this community call for good of the whole. It's so nice to see you all. This is our first Wednesday public call, and we're going to begin with some resonance. If this is the first time that you've come, Shelley will bring us into this beautiful space of resonance, and then we use this Wednesday call to really just check in with one another, to bring ourselves fully present and let each other know what we're up to, what's moving, doing a check-in, and if there's any way we can lift up and support one another in our work in the world as we're weaving this more light, more joy, more resonance into our social fabric. So with that, oh, you see the dog behind me? Franklin's climbing the stairs. With that, Shelley, I'm turning it over to you to bring us into resonance.
So beautiful to see your faces. Welcome to our first February Wednesday call. And in terms of resonance, I'm just going to invite you to close your eyes for a moment. And as Julie was saying, the fabric of the field, we are that. And part of understanding ourselves as whole beings, contributing to and in service of a greater whole, we today just taking a few deep breaths and feeling into this sense of luminosity, this sense of love that connects us all. And simply always the easiest thing is just putting your hand on your heart, breathing into your belly and feeling that energy in connection with the earth. And as we're breathing in, we're being informed by her love. We're feeling that sense of nurturing and of nurturance. It's the fuel for everything we do every day. And allowing that breath to expand and feel this toroidal movement, this energy, this source coding of information coming down through our crowns and meeting in this beautiful energy of the heart, this high heart. And in that acknowledgement, we're taking a moment for gratitude, how each one of us are showing up. Really envisioning this world that's in harmony and connected, where every individual is connected, feels valued and whole. And just feel as a sensate being this wondrous energy as it connects here in this circle this morning and then expands out, envisioning it to expand out into our families, our community relationships, and out into the planet herself. And we come here specifically to deepen and embody into the field, to experience it and express it and ripple out our love, our intentions, and our practical actions in this call. So just taking one more breath together as a collective, enjoy, and feeling that nurturing for this capacity to serve good of the whole. Bringing ourselves very gently back, present time. We welcome everyone and all of those that just joined us to our, and today specifically our public global resonance call, or global global coherence call, resonance, building coherence here together. And so it is. Pass it back to you, Julie.
Thank you. I loved how that blurb kind of got cross-wired there, because it's a beautiful opportunity to just, first of all, presence that we do have this global heart resonance call every Monday that is free to the public. So same time, a different Zoom call-in number. And if you've never been there, or if you're watching the recording and haven't been there before, just go to the website, goodofthewhole.com, and click on any of the links, and you can sign up so that you get notification of the resonant theme for the day and how to call in and be a part of that global heart resonance. And this call, this Wednesday call, is really designed for us as a community, as a global community, and more importantly, as those who really are serious about mentoring this ethos of wholeness on the planet, really mentoring resonance and the different ways that we co-create and really bring the evolution of consciousness into our homes, into our communities, into our families. This is the call to create coherence with that. And we come together to really share, to lift up, to just kind of check in. It always used to just be our monthly check-in call. And as we move more toward action, more toward really designed action of how to expand this ethos and expand this, amplify the worldview, a whole worldview, like Shelley mentioned, to really help everyone feel valued, connected, and whole on our planet. So this call is this to create coherence in our community. Who's doing what? What's going on? Where are the needs? So this is what this is, and it's a big check-in call, especially this first Wednesday of every month, because it's a public call that people can get on and really check in. And kind of like, I want to add one more thing, check in and plug in, because we've always held this vision of this call and good of the whole is this organism, but it's like this mothership where literally it's a docking station where we can come in and plug in and really get this reciprocal energetic exchange where we're feeling this resonance, we're raising our vibrational frequency, we're getting the downloads and uploads of information moving and informing who we be in the world. And so it's kind of a place where we can plug in. So it's a plug in and a check in. So let's use that time this morning to plug in, feel this resonance, and to check in. So I'm just going to put the talking stick. I wish I had a cool, I know what I'll do. I'm going to add a little nature to this pine cone as our talking stick and put that in the center. And Shelley's going to talk first and pick up that talking stick, and then we'll open it to anyone. Go ahead, Shell.
Well, I just want to say that because there's a lot of people on this call and we're only here for 1 hour, please keep it to 1 minute, like really short, not your whole story, because we want to begin to, on these calls, we want to actually see how we can plug in with each other and listen to what is, really, what's your passion? what's your calling in coming to this call, good of the whole? What does that mean for you? And what's moving to you to express? So thank you very much. And I pass this. Oh, kisses. Okay, pass the kissing stick.
Hi, everybody. It's Linda. I'm in Indiana. It's freezing outside, but I'm warm here, and it's beautiful to see so many more faces. We're beginning to see more stitches of the tapestry, which makes this good of the whole more whole. So thank you all for being here this morning. I've been I've been co-creating Holding Sacred Space for good of the whole for the last however many years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, 6 years. So you get to a place where there is no space and there's no distance and there's no time when you're having a perspective of our wholeness. There is no separation. So that's my check-in. I'm doing great. Trying to stay warm and sending that warm love to all of you for a good morning.
This is Sharon in New Jersey, and it's warmed up here, so that's nice. I just wanted to check in that since I was on the calls the last week, the theme around the children and around connecting and valuing and all that, I guess it was staying with me. And I was at a Unitarian Universalist service on Sunday, and they always do a split basket with a nonprofit. And the nonprofit guy was there, and it's a group called Hopewell, and they're in Camden, which is, a city with a lot of needs, which is the next city over from where I live. And I live in the most affluent one, and that's like one of the worst. Anyway, and it's 5 miles from me. They teach at-risk youth how to do web design and social media and get them jobs. And I'm like, I could go help you with the success coaching stuff there and bring this there. So I'm going over there on Monday to get a tour. They were very receptive, and I'm excited about that. And it wasn't until later that I thought about this and made the connection consciously. Oh, I'm like, I just naturally took this action. So thanks. I'm complete. I have one other thing to add to that I just remembered, that is they also have interns and they want to be connected into businesses. And I was thinking about, administrative assistant. Maybe there's something there. We'll see. That's all. Just check that.
This is Sharon Raji, Pacific Northwest. It's pretty cold outside here today too, but it's warming up. I'm really glad to be on the call. I'm mentoring my daughter through a heart failure, death possibility, and then through heart transplant. So we're now on the other side of the heart transplant. So I'm having a little bit more free time, and I'm really appreciative of her journey and where she's at, and also that I have more time. The project that I've really been passionate about in the last couple of months is how to change consciousness. And because I work in the unseen and do a lot of past life soul retrieval, etc., realized that in my first book, Remembering Earth Mission, there was an indication that there was a group that was specifically designed to step forward into a specific mission kind of at this point of time. And so I thought, maybe I better look into what they were telling me as they gave me that information. So I have two circles. One is a circle of women who are time traveling, who are doing past life retrieval, not just retrieval of anything, but they're going back in time to find the reasons, the seed, for example, why our family's being disrupted and torn apart at our border. Where's that idea? And going back to find those beginning ideas, to eliminate them, to open a whole new stream of energy. And so that's one circle. And another circle that's just starting in February is a circle that will be using crystal stones and natures to intentionally broadcast new patterns based on values that were set in 2012 by women who gathered here in Seattle. And so I'm really excited about that, and I feel like that is probably going to be my contribution for the next little while. So glad to have this kind of support, even just to say that. So thank you.
Thank you, Sharon. I'm going to take this opportunity to just come in and ask what your daughter's name is, and maybe we can just have a minute of seeing her in her highest form and highest expression.
That would be great. Her name is Michelle.
Michelle. Okay, let's just do that for just a minute, just tapping in and just sending Michelle the frequency for the good of the whole.
And we always include the donor's family too in those prayers, so thank you for that too.
Beautiful. Gratitude. Thank you, Sharon. Okay, the talking stick is back in the center. Welcome, Glenn. We're doing a check-in. I'll jump in and do my check-in because when you were talking about your projects and teaching consciousness and thinking about consciousness, I had this thing yesterday. I'm in New York City visiting my daughter and son-in-law and trying to help them get the nursery ready for the baby, and attended a Unity Earth event and have had meetings and things, but also recorded my show from here yesterday, and something happened. I was reading a fascinating book, really cool information. I just want to share this into the field because there's some important pieces for us here with Alberto Villaldo's new book, Grow a New Body. And he literally ties the nutrition into spiritual awakening, and talks about how the brain, literally when the brain is with sugar and flours, and any grain that's ingested turns to the sugars and talks about the sugars. And so he literally speaks to the physiology of that brain fog and the lack of spiritual awakening when we're in that with a higher glycemic index and all the physiology. So it's fascinating to really directly connect that oneness experience. That's what he calls it, the oneness experience, with the nutrition. So fascinating book, which brings me to my check-in, which is I was just exploring yesterday. Some pieces were dropping in really about learning to teach. I sat with my daughter and son-in-law at dinner, and I said, I want to teach consciousness by understanding the development of our brain, of going from the reptilian to the limbic and into the neocortex, and how that may help people go, oh, I get it. Instead of saying the evolution of consciousness and hitting these levels of consciousness, which is, do you want to do Wilbur? Do you want to do whose stuff? To really help people understand through the brain. And I thought that was just really a fun and easy piece that dropped in my lap of moving us from the reptilian brain into the neocortex and beyond to see where our development will go. So that's what was reminded by that last check-in with consciousness. So thank you for that. And that's my check-in for the day. And I'm complete.
This is Henry. I'm in, excuse me, I'm in Santa Fe, New Mexico. What's up for me is action. I'm just feeling a need to, I guess, especially at this time in the world, to take action and specifically within this context, to be able to articulate and share what happens with the heart resonance or what coherence. I think that is what is needed, and maybe even to extend that to children, to find ways to do it in simple form. So anyway, I also want to share, I guess, a book maybe synchronistically that I got because I want to learn how to be able to communicate it and share it. There is a book that's called Cohering the Integral We Space. Maybe some of you have heard of that. It's kind of bringing together different ways that people have, that people are exploring, that people are discovering, that people are awakening to that larger context of the we space. And perhaps that's like finding a new body. We're finding this new connectedness, the larger connectedness of the group. And I've just found some beautiful things in there already, and people have already begun to, been able to articulate that. So that's my sharing for now.
Okay, I'll jump in after you, Henry, because I think a good word for me this year is boldness. So I'm feeling maybe a little of what you're feeling. So as you were talking, Julie, I'm reminded of the interview you did with Greg Braden a couple of weeks ago, where he talked about the event where human consciousness shifted, or humans came to be more present somehow, or there was an evolutionary event that he talked about. It was not a very long time ago, frankly. I don't know if it was a couple of million years ago. I think I've written down the date someplace, but it would be interesting to track, and maybe you are, the evolvement of consciousness from that point. And we have a book out in Kauai written by Guru Deva of the Hindu tradition called the Lemurian Scrolls, where he describes an event from the Akashic records that I'm reading. So there's this whole notion of evolving and being bold and, working, just holding. For me, I think I'm really working and embodying this good of the whole in everything that I do and bring forth. And I'm just, I'm more awake to that. That's all. And I'm, and I'll say maybe the primary reason I'm more awake to that is because we've created this group called Good of the Whole. And you guys are, kind of, reminding me all the time about Good of the Whole. And it's like, okay, I'm getting it. I'm a slow learner, but I'm getting there. So I just appreciate all of you and what we're doing. So thank you. And I'm complete.
So, good morning, everyone from Connecticut. And so my check-in, we've had 2 really warm days in Connecticut. Today's a little cooler, but on, I think it was Monday and Tuesday, yeah. Monday and Tuesday, it was 60 degrees here. Now, just a few days ago, I was in the city, it was like 8 degrees. So it's 60 degrees, so I decided instead of going to the gym, I'd have to get outside. So I did one of my iPhone walking meditations. And the way I do that is I just go take a walk, and I take my iPhone, and then it's as if I give my mind, or my mind gets a mantra to do something. Like, for example, find all the knots in the trees. Take pictures of just knots in the trees. So the mantra, when I went out on Monday and I looked down at look down, look around, it was so gray, there weren't leaves and everything. But I looked down and all of a sudden I see all the cracks in the sidewalk, which are very clear in the road, not the sidewalk, just the road around here with the potholes and everything. So I decide, okay, Victoria, we're going to look for cracks in the road. So I start walking around and I'm taking pictures. I'm looking down, right? I'm looking down at the cracks in the roads, and they're quite beautiful, all the different combinations of cracks and everything. And then I realized that I could see my sneakers. So I started taking pictures looking down of my sneakers at the edge of those cracks in the road. And then I realized that when I'm doing that, I've had to bend over to do that because I'm doing close-ups. So all of a sudden I get this sense that I'm bowing, And honestly, it was just absolutely incredible. The minute that came to me and I began to feel that, it's as if an entire world opened up, and it was like being stoned in the old days. It was unbelievable. Everything was so beautiful and so gorgeous. Every crack and the snow and the edges and the crystals. And it just took over. And beauty, just beauty everywhere. That was amazing. The fact that it's right beneath our feet, so we don't really see it, and we just say, let's fill those potholes, which we should probably do, and that would be beautiful too. So it was just this amazing experience that I got from this, and I was out there about an hour, but I couldn't tell time, and it just was just amazingly beautiful. So I wanted to share that. Thank you.
Hi, John, Boulder, Colorado. Henry, if you get a chance, if you could, the author of the book that you had spoken of, it'd be great if I could get that from you. Fascinating. I mean, life goes on in such incredible ways, always being surprised. And I'm doing I want to call it a new practice, in that all my years as a psychotherapist, of course, as a therapist, you learn how to listen. That's one of the major pieces. And I've realized more and more that I was listening to content and then doing an analysis of the content in order to help someone make the shift that they're basically asking for. Well, I've been doing something different lately in written communications and verbal communications, is that I'm bypassing the content when I'm really doing it well completely, which means I have no judgment, no reaction, no advice, no inquiry into furthering definition of the content. And I'm beginning to realize that people are longing to be conscious of their heart space and be heard there and only there first, before any of the illusion of this world takes precedence in their lives. And so I've found myself being very quiet and energetically connecting, and all of a sudden I don't have to say anything, and the story begins to change until there's a resonance, a heart resonance. And what I'm really sensing, and what I've been documenting, writing about, is opening and holding a space that others can make the heart-brain connection and have that flow going on for themselves. And all of a sudden, the tragedies, the stress, the anxieties begin to fade, because there is that sense within all of us of, once we are experiencing the wholeness, our fabricated little pieces seem pretty inconsequential. And when there's another in our presence, that we allow ourselves to really reflect in that wholeness with each other, for me anyway, it's an amazing experience. And so I'm hoping to continue that and bring that into a little bit of a larger context. And so that's where I'm at, and I'm complete. Thank you.
Good morning. This is June from California. And we had some very cold weather, woke up to white roofs all over today. So I'm sending prayers to my plants, hoping they can make it through. But I'm really enjoying the theme of what seems to be running through where people are today. What was going through my mind when the question was put out was, I find with working with my clients and with the general public that the level of fear is so high, and that people are sort of shutting down to the larger awareness of what it means to be conscious, or just to be aware of what's going on around them, to feel safer, that they pull into this place. Of course, it doesn't make them feel safer, but what I'm discovering is, because I have a strong desire, it's just something that's becoming stronger all the time, to help people open enough, get into a sense of resonance and safety enough to become aware of what is going on around them without the fear, so that they can look at something and say, is this healthy? Is this for the good of the whole, for the good of me and my family? And actually allow themselves to open and investigate and explore, so that they can have far more choices about what it is they want to bring into their lives, support in their lives. And I'm finding that, when they can feel a resonance with someone, and begin to build that resonance into their lives, that they're so much more open and free and willing to look at more. And that's very exciting for me. And so what I'm really trying and working at right now is, how do I help that process out, beyond setting the resonance with them and opening that field, but how do I present more material as well, much of not only what's going on in good of the whole, but in the world generally. And so I'm really, I'm working with, how do I set that information in an energy and in a resonance that can be opened up to and explored. And so it's an exciting, it's an exciting thing that I'm really working with and finding success with. So I'm appreciating what the rest of you are doing in so many ways like that, in terms of opening up with other people. So I'm complete.
Aaron or Diane, you want to jump in? And I can jump in after you. Diane's just sitting there smiling away. Looking forward to meeting you.
I'm this is my first time on one of these calls, and I'm kind of in transition. I am grateful to hear what everybody is doing. I am in Colorado too, in Crestone, and I'm exploring. I'm trying to figure out how I can bring my teachings, my experiences into the world right now. I have a good background in meditation, yoga therapy, and what I think I enjoy most sharing with people and find so effective for helping them connect with their inner self is the I Rest Yoga Nidra, and looking for places where I'm living now to share that. I think that is what I have to say. I am complete.
Good morning, everyone. This is Karen in Costa Rica. You said how warm up to 60, and I went, oh, because 60 is cold for me. Too many years in Florida and Costa Rica. This has been nice. I think I was on one more of these where we just did a check-in. I would love to know more about this group and get to understand if and where it's a place for me. Some of you I've been with on the Monday calls, so we've met already. My assignment here on the planet is creating a new paradigm of being, which has turned into a crystalline light foundation. And I was listening to, I always say the good of the whole, the good of the whole. We had put it as part of our intent that all of our thoughts, words, and deeds would be for the highest and greatest good of the all. So, and that's what we've had for many, many years. So I felt a connection and knowing that there are other people out there looking to be part of the solutions on the planet, part of how we excuse me, turn this ship around and create what we came here to do. That's why we're here. It's just a blessing. So I'm getting a tickle in my throat. So I just feel blessed to be here. I would like to know more. I know some of you are so busy, it's hard to get to talk to you to find out more, but I know that when the time is right, it will come. So I thank you very much for the calls on the first Monday, the first Wednesday of the month, and I'll try to keep connecting. So thank you again.
Whew. I'll jump in. Thank you, everybody, for sharing your being who you are and how you're serving good of the whole. My name is Shelley Darling, and with Julie, co-founded Good of the Whole, and really, you are defining. You're coming here. You're showing up for me. Is you're defining what good of the whole is with us together. We call it mentoring or co-mentoring each other. So for me, my check-in would simply be, you're the why I'm here. To hold sacred, safe space where people can come in and feel nourished in being who they are, and take it all the way to what Glenn was sharing, to really express their boldness and feel supported by a community, and how to take that local actioning into our families, friends, and community. We just pop ideas and we spread these ideas. We're seeding the field. And for me, this Wednesday call is an opportunity to step into more strategic. So for me, my whole life is about good of the whole, no matter what I do. And as Linda was sharing, whenever I'm in that place, when I am embodying that experience, there is no separation. There's just joy. And I think part of my chuckling and laughing is that, that this can actually be a fun journey. And it's serious, absolutely. But I was serious for way too many years. And for me, good of the whole is the opportunity to stretch beyond the boundaries of my own self and come into greater communion with each one of you, and gently, I would have to say gently, strategize what that actioning is within the greater whole. And of course, good of the whole we have our different things that for those of you that are new, I'll just quickly, like last year we did Love Lives Here. It was 40-day experience, and that anyone and everyone was invited to share or be a part of, bring their wholeness share how love is living here in your life. We also did something called Love More. So love being the basis, and I think that's my check-in, is that for me, when every action becomes from that place of wholeness, there isn't a word, and we're practicing. We come here, the Monday call is about practicing resonance, practicing how we can feel more stabilized in ourselves and feel in resonance with that emerging creativity of the universe as it moves us into our higher potential. And when we feel a lot, and understanding that the resonance piece is just that experience of feeling in a sympathetic vibration, just like music. We feel that sympathetic vibration, and then we get excited about, the next piece, our mission or our goal, whatever that is, as good of the whole. So I'm complete, and I'm really happy to see you all. And I hope, Julie, you explain the coming up call so that you understand. This call specifically once a month is a public call where you can feel into this. And the other 3 weeks are where we go really specifically. We don't spend as much time, checking in, so to speak. We're more weaving the threads of each other's vision together as a whole being. And so with that, I'll pass it back to Julie, and thank you all. It's just gorgeous seeing you all. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Shelley. And I love kind of the theme that came, and I want to present something in a second, but I'll just address that call since Shelley asked. That the other 3 weeks of the month, sometimes 4, depending on the number of weeks, is that we have, instead of a membership, we call it a mentorship, that we have mentors who are out in the world living for the good of the whole. And what does that mean to mentor living for the good of the whole? And we do that in myriad expressions right here, in whether we're teaching in a school system or doing psychotherapy or leading a nonprofit organization. There's just so much that we're all doing, healers, and we are all stepping up as mentors for this evolution of consciousness and mentors for living for the good of the whole. And so if you're interested in a mentorship or becoming a mentor for us, that's on the website as well. But that's how we spend Wednesdays, is coming together and really trying, like I said, to support and uplift one another in our work in the world, in our expression as good of the whole, in our embodiment and our expression as good of the whole. So thank you for that. I just want to kind of pull, since we have about 10 minutes, this thread that I heard something new today. I don't know why, but when June was speaking, I heard we often look at what is good of the whole and how do we really cultivate this ethos of wholeness on the planet. How do we plant and cultivate the seeds? And what's the results? Because we really are invested in the expression of that in the world, in all the different forms. And so when June talked about teaching resonance to create safety, it was like this new, we talk about good of the whole as it's a political, it's a politic, it's a healing prescription. It's there's so many things that good of the whole is besides just an idiom, a beautiful idiom at that. But when June spoke about creating resonance as creating safety for her clients, again, it goes back to that beautiful prescription of how we're bringing that onto the planet. And what do we need now more than anything in these times of change and anxiety and fear is to create that sense of safety and belonging and wholeness that we talk about when we talk about how to feel valued, connected, and whole. That sense of safety is good. So I just kind of want to open this up for 5 minutes or so. If anybody has any brief little pieces to kind of help hold that and help ground that idea that teaching resonance is really good medicine for these times of really feeling into our wholeness and creating safety for one another in relationships and on the planet. So kind of an odd question, but I'm throwing that out. And whoever wants to jump in, I would really like to really ground that today on this call before we close.
Just wanted to follow up, Julie, and I know this, we only have a few minutes each, so I know I wish we had a lot more time all together, because being involved in this Unity Earth, that we were just part of what you're saying, from my takeaway from that is the incredible emphasis on ownership, not being with others and taking ownership of the whole, because we are the whole. So in that way, everybody does their part. Can't even say that again. There is no part, but everybody does what needs to be done from what they have, what comes through them to do, and in a very active way. And it's sort of like long ago with Barbara Marx Hubbard, I once called Barbara and I said, "Oh, Barbara, you should have a video showing your logo coming out in this way with the thing behind it." And she said, "Oh, Victoria, that sounds so good. Let me know when you have it done." And that's when I learned that, So having led a lot of groups and stuff, how we all lead them, people say, you should do this and you should do this and we should do this. But they're really saying you should do this or somebody should do this. So my takeaway was to work together together. This Unity Earth is like a snowball going down a mountain, and it's just gathering. And so everybody, it's so open, just offer, and that's what life is, offer and act. So that's what my takeaway was. Yeah.
So I don't know if anybody remembers the book, The Aquarian Conspiracy, Marilyn Ferguson. It was 30 or 40 years ago, but one thing that she said, and this is when, if I remember, I was in the middle of the me generation, like it was all focused on. And she said something very profound that it really has stayed with me, and that's what's so glorious about this right now that we're doing. She said there will be pods of people in different parts of the country, in different parts of the world, that will resonate with other pods that are at the same frequency. And to set up, it's actually like a neural network where there's synapses happening back and forth. And this would become the new whole that would raise the consciousness, because we're working together on that. Now, being in Boulder, Colorado, we're always accused of being in the kingdom of Boulder, as if it was this little thing. And quite frankly, in a way it is. But what is so glorious about this is that there are a lot of little kingdoms around that are the heart of the new synapse that we are joining together in this new neural energetic conscious firing network. And so I want to proliferate that. I want to find more groups. I want to be in that contact in whatever way we can. So that's good for me. Thanks.
I would like to add, connecting with this theme, and I've mentioned it before in the resonance circles, is at the Damenhur community that I've kind of been exploring. Whatever they do, they all see themselves as researchers and investigators. But one of the key points of that is whatever they're doing, they're looking to make it practical. They're looking to make it in some way that it can be shared. So just in resonance with that idea, so it is only in those resonant spaces, in those safe spaces that June spoke about, that people will be able to experience that they are valued. It is only in that, and it may be two or more, but when we come together in this pod or group, that's the only place, and that is the place also that invites the fullest expression, at least kind of the keynote or the theme that came out of the retreat, that so helping to create those fields, to bring it as practical and as simple in ways of sharing it each in our own ways, because we each have individual ways that we approach or things that we hone in on, and each is beautiful. So thank you.
I would love to be able to add into the field my impulse towards working with children. And this has come up a lot this week. With the Game Changer Intensive from the Pachamama Alliance, we had a call, and a few people there are beginning to write stories for children. And I think to ground this new consciousness, it is, oops, sorry about that. It's important to make the next generation feel this resonance of the good of the whole. And so I'm taking a Radiant Child Yoga course at the end of March, and laying out some practical ways to really work with children. And I've been blessed with 4 granddaughters, so from age 11 to 4 to newborn, and I think children are the next step. So I'm really excited about this that's coming up, and I just wanted to share that, put that out so that you could hold that space for me as far as working with children to help raise consciousness and be in that space of wholeness for themselves, their family, their community, and the earth, basically. And that's about it. Okay, I'm complete. Thank you.
I want to jump in real quickly before we close, jumping on your comment, because in my work for the last 20 years, there's been a huge awareness that these souls coming into the bodies, coming into different bodysuits, and that they are already aware, and they're struggling because the systems that are culturally here for them are based on the crippledness that we were, not on the alignment to the divine that they are. So I really applaud you, Linda, and support what you're doing.
I'm going to jump in because I'm going to hand this back to Julie. Julie, why don't you just share this overview of what's come in for Good of the Whole about the children? And it seems like a really juicy place, talking about safety and children.
That's a good place to kind of frame everything and bring it back into another layer of wholeness as we close the call. So thank you. I'm going to bring first this word that John brought through is proliferate, or the proliferation, because that action to proliferate it really is the why of why we're here, to really proliferate this new level of consciousness, and to proliferate the ethos of wholeness, and to proliferate a worldview that works for all of us. And so the goal that we have brought to the field over the last couple of weeks is to empower 10 million children to feel valued, connected, and whole by 2030. And that is an expression of proliferation, that we really believe that as we're all doing our work on the ground locally, that it's great to have a global vision. It's great to have this real global mission and vision on the planet, but it's up to us to infuse that and embody it and to live it so that we're affecting those around us. We're proliferating that goodness in our own local spheres, our own communities, circles, organizations, whoever we're in contact with. And I shared this last week that a young college student several years ago joined the Peace Corps. He wanted to change the world, and he would come into this healing arts center that I owned at the time, and he came in one day to have tea, and he said, I figured it out, Julie. I figured out how to save the world. And I said, Gibran, tell me, how are we going to save the world? And he said, we don't have to go out there and save the world and do this huge thing. All we have to do is really ground our work, because when we affect 100 people around us, we all know 100 people. And when we are fully in our own expression, we're impacting, we're proliferating with those 100 people around us. And those 100 people know 100 people. And so when we think of this global goal to say we really want to empower the children, which is really changing the consciousness on the whole planet with that goal, that we really want to impact these children and empower these children to feel valued, connected, and whole, what we're doing is hopefully gathering as this beautiful co-creative community here and coming together to lift one another up in this work, that if we can literally impact 100,000 mentors in the next 10 years, which is very doable, they're proliferating with those 100 children in some way. And we've reached our 10 million people in that way. So that feels really doable to us. So when we began talking about children, it feels like, I just want to presence Glenn's wife, Marion, who is one of our founding stewards here. I shouldn't say founding steward, but has been on this core team since the beginning as well, said, what is that one thing that's so compelling that the world says yes? And right after she challenged us with that thought, what is that one thing? This piece with the children came in. So thank you for bringing that back in, Shelley, and letting us kind of weave that back into the whole picture, that we really are working with the adults. We're working with you. We're working with whoever we welcome this inclusion of everyone coming in and coming forward to work in this way. And we all have an individual call that's synchronous with this movement, that's synchronous with living for the good of the whole. We're attracted to it. So as we each do our own work, we're really spreading this gorgeous frequency throughout the field and allowing the impulse of creation to do this beautiful work through us and in us and as us. So with that, Shelley, do you want to bring any polishing on that before we close? Because it is time.
Yeah, it's time to close. I just want to add that in understanding this, call it a goal for right now, this mission of working with the children, some of us might go, well, I don't have children, I don't work with children, but it's in affecting anybody. You're affecting the health of the next generation. And I think that's how I can look at it in a much more another way, because not everybody's going to go out and go into, start intensely working with the children, like as Linda was describing. But we know that to trust that we're always being fed that information by the intelligence of the field, and that alone is affecting every next line of generation. So that's the only piece I want to add to that. And yeah, let's just take a minute and breathe together in gratitude. And one other piece is that if you want more of this and you want to really begin to develop, I think the key word is develop what your expression is inside of Good of the Whole, or you want that support, or make sure you go to the Good of the Whole and sign in. That's firstly, and I would imagine everyone here has already done that. But if you haven't, or if you know someone that you want to share, well, we will share this replay because it is a public call, so people can feel into more about what what our expression is, and to go to the Mentoring Steward page, and we invite you to donate $15 a month to Go to the Whole. Like, I get a little unnerved about saying this, but I'm not going to be today, because this is what's supporting the actual actioning. Everyone's saying, I'm ready for action, and more about that, but this is how it's supported. And so those that come on the other weeks are donating that. On that same note, I want to say, if you are a person that really feels to participate with us and if there's financial issues, please talk to myself or Julie. You know, we want to have you. We don't want to create more stress. We want to see that foundational gift of being able to feel that sovereignty and independence financially can support you. So we're there for that too. So with that, I hope that lands well in everyone's heart. Check that out. And let's just take a moment of silence, really, just in honoring of the field, in honoring of how you've come here today and said yes, and how you're creating that safety within your own being, which then allows other people to come in and feel safe to be that embodiment and expression of their wholeness. Thank you so much. Yeah, thank you, Julie. Thank you, everyone. And check out the Monday Heart Resonance. It is a free call, and it's where we're practicing resonance, where we're practicing that experience. So much love to you.
See you next week. Thank you all. Or maybe see you the first Wednesday if that's what feels right for you. But we hope to see you all here next week again. And thank you all for contributing. What a beautiful call.
Yeah.
Good to hear what everybody's up to. So, hey, bye now.